A lot of the watch list is setting parameters and then marking against that as the season unfolds. So the logical point is to sort of declare who you believe in. Show us your 8, show us who you've left out, and then it'll give us a sliding scale as you make your adjustments whether teams meet those marks or fall short of them. So, Kingy, you go first and show us who you believe in.
Well, I certainly believe in the top 3 that I got in my ladder. I believe that Collingwood will be right there. Brisbane are just too talented to not be there. And I think GWS are probably the one that everyone's talking about over their pre-season's been terrific. And obviously they finished the year really strong last season. Then you can throw a raffle, it's a raffle from there for the next sort of 5 spots in the 8 and probably 3 or 4 outside of that. There's a whole host of teams that can get there. But I've just basically taken a set against some due to, I think, a tipping over, if you like, of Geelong. I think that they'll miss because finally it has to catch up with them. They hate me as a fan base anyway, so I'm happy to put a line through them. Port Adelaide, I've had my problems with Port Adelaide and Kenny Hinkley, so he was an easy one to leave out. But I guess my talking point is probably St Kilda, probably a point of difference from other people. I've got massive faith that they're better than what they were last year, better talent. They should get a healthier opportunity at the start of the year, but given this week's events, who knows? I've put Melbourne back in there. I had them out a couple of weeks ago when Joey and I had a chat about this on First Crack on the preview show. I just thought without Brayshaw and Oliver at that stage, it would have been a tough start to the season and they'd have lost too much ground. But seeing Clayton's upright, healthy and ready to go, you have to have him in.
And you've put the Bulldogs in as well, which is one that a lot of people have agonised over what to do with them.
Yeah, the Dogs are a serious outfit. I think that they've copped their wax. I think when you look at last year, it did them a favour missing the 8. All warts were exposed. Everyone's seen the Dogs. They've picked them apart. They're too talented to miss the finals. We're all saying that. I think their top 4 or 5 players need to take more control of this football club. Bontempelli does all of the heavy lifting. I love that they've made Liberatore vice-captain. I think he has the Toby Green type effect. He is a leader of that football club. Call him one. If you're leaving guys like Sam Darcy out of your lineup, then you're putting the heat on those tools that are in to get the job done. And if they don't, they get very, very nervous about what's about to take their position. So I think Riley Sanders will be the rising star, as most are saying now. I love the way he started this season. So I think there's just too much talent in the Dogs, and the coach has got a point to prove in 24.
So you've got the Dogs on the other side of that line, Joey. Show us who you believe in.
Yeah, I've got a few of those familiar teams at the top that most of us think will be there. Obviously, Brisbane and Collingwood. The one change I've probably made since King and I had our previews before the practice matches, I've flipped the Giants and Carlton. I probably look now, think having the Giants at 6th, I think initially maybe that's a bit low. And Carlton have just made me slightly nervous from what I've seen in 2 pre-season games, although you do take those games with a grain of salt, but there's just a little bit there. I'm still really bullish on Melbourne, and we'll touch on them in a moment. But for me, I'm still bullish on Geelong. So, and I like looking at history. I think it's a really important factor. And there's been at least one team every year for the last 9 years that has jumped from outside the 8 into the top 4. But 8 of those 9 teams have actually been a team that have played finals in recent years. It's not an Adelaide Crows or a Gold Coast Suns that haven't played. Brisbane are the only team in that 9 years that came from the bottom 4 to then spike. Every other team has played finals and played a good level of finals in recent years. So that limits it to the Bulldogs, Fremantle or Geelong. And I've just got faith in the Cats. I think that 2023 was a bit of an anomaly. They were banged up defensively. The Radicalea experiment didn't work. I think they've had a big pre-season. They're fully fit. They believe, more importantly, that they can challenge again. So I think that holds them in good stead. So the Cats are the one that maybe a lot of people don't have that I still think with those games at home, the forward line they've got, the back line that they've got, and they'll find a way to make it work in the midfield. I think that absolutely they should be playing finals.
I want to talk to you both about Adelaide. Is it a bit of out of sight, out of mind with them? I mean, they were very unlucky last year, and not a lot of people are putting them in their pre-season top 8.
Yeah, there's probably an element of, for me, I think about the names on the list, and I might get that wrong, but I think the back line to me, names-wise, seems a little bit thin, and I still think it's a vulnerability. I think their midfield depth maybe is still a little bit vulnerable, and when you just take a bit of a deeper dive of their numbers last year, when they got the game on their terms and they kicked 100 plus, they didn't lose. And most of them were at Adelaide Oval. They dominated teams. But if they kicked under 100 points and teams took their offence off them, they were 3 and 10. So I'm thinking maybe this might just be a bit of a growing pains year as well. A rebuild doesn't always consistently go 3 wins, 7 wins, 8 wins, 11 wins, then 14. There's generally a bit of a dip year. Fremantle might be one last year. We've seen
Melbourne did. That happened to Melbourne.
and Richmond before their flags. So I think Adelaide are on the right track long term. I've just got them as a bit of a growing pains year, maybe a dip year.